The collapse of the third dimension is happening right now. Not in some distant future, not in some prophecy yet to be fulfilled. Right now, at this moment, beneath your feet. And the reason most people are not seeing it is exactly this. The signs are arriving camouflaged. Arriving wrapped in political news and economic crises, in scandals that last 3 days before being replaced by the next one. The chaos on the surface was designed, consciously or not, to function as noise. And the noise is working. But here is what no headline will ever tell you. What you are watching on the news is not the story, it is the curtain. Behind every system that is cracking, behind every institution revealing its true architecture, behind every figure of power showing publicly what it always was, there is a process underway that is far larger than any election, any leader, any decision made in any capital in the world. The third dimension is coming apart. And those who hold power know it before anyone else does. I want to be straight with you about what this transmission contains, because the title was not made to frighten, and I have no interest in delivering fear without a map. What I am going to give you is the map. 5 observable signs that the collapse is in active motion. The specific soul profile that will not complete the crossing, named by pattern, not by judgment, and the 3 actions that determine whether you move through what is coming as someone who was prepared or someone who was caught. All of it before this ends. The Galactic Federation has been transmitting on dimensional collapse as a diagnostic, not as a threat, for longer than most channels have been willing to receive it with this level of precision. What I have come to understand after sitting with these transmissions for many months is that the people who are least prepared are not the ones who never heard this language. They are the ones who heard it and kept waiting for a dramatic opening event. The collapse does not announce itself. It arrives as a series of things that look like personal problems. You have already been living inside it. Now I am going to name what you have been living inside. The first sign landed for most people around 2020, though some felt it begin as early as 2017. The cause and effect architecture of third-dimensional reality started producing failures that bore no relationship to the quality of what was invested. That was not the world behaving badly. That was the energetic floor beneath the entire material architecture beginning to lose coherence. Not collapsing dramatically, thinning, and the structures built on top of it beginning to behave the way furniture behaves when the floor beneath it silently shifts. The Pleiadian Council transmitted something about this specific moment that I have not been able to set aside since I received it. They said the public exposure of what has always operated in the shadows is not an accident of political timing. It is a dimensional function. As the frequency of the third dimension loses coherence, the layer that kept certain realities hidden loses its capacity to hold. What is appearing on the screens is not the world getting worse. It is the world becoming transparent. There is a fundamental difference between those two things, and by the time this transmission ends, you will feel that difference in your body. The 5 signs are specific, not atmospheres, not feelings that could be filed under stress or aging. Specific, observable, datable experiences you can locate in your own history. When I name them, count how many you have already lived through. That number is your evidence. Sign 1. The collapse of cause and effect. It is not that things went wrong. It is that they went wrong in ways that defied the logic of what preceded them. The effort was genuine, the decision was sound, the timing was right, and the result bore no relationship to any of those inputs. That is the causal architecture of the third dimension losing its functional coherence. Not your failure. The floor giving way beneath a system that was built on it. Sign 2. The acceleration of endings. Relationships, careers, identities you had worn for decades, ending faster than you could process them. Not because everything was wrong, but because the frequency floor beneath them could no longer sustain structures built for a vibration it was losing. If you have watched more things end in the last 4 years than in the 20 before them, that is not a run of bad luck. That is the great sorting already underway. Sign 3. The disruption of the body's relationship with rest. Sleep that does not repair. Waking at 3 in the morning with a heart moving too fast for the quiet of the room. dreams that carry more weight than your waking hours. The body is not malfunctioning, it is a field instrument, and the field it is reading has been changing at a rate no human nervous system was built to process without disturbance. The disturbance is the reading. Your body is doing its job precisely. Sign 4. The sudden visibility of what was always hidden. People revealing what they actually are. Institutions showing their true architecture in ways they could previously conceal. Long-held dynamics surfacing in their undisguised form. The third dimension's primary maintenance tool has always been the concealment layer. The frequency at which most perceptions operated kept certain truths invisible. As that floor gives way, the concealment layer goes with it. You are not becoming more paranoid, you are becoming more accurate. Sign 5. The change in time itself, not just that it is moving faster. The relationship between intention and manifestation has shifted. Certain things happen with a speed that would have taken years before 2020. Others hang in suspension, as if they belong to a system that is no longer fully operational. That is precisely what is happening. The old timeline's physics are running at reduced capacity. The new timeline's physics are becoming active. You are living inside the overlap, and your nervous system has been registering that overlap every single day. If you recognize 3 or more of those signs in your own experience, if what I just named landed not as new information, but as confirmation of something you have been carrying without language, the guide in the first pinned comment below this video was built for exactly this moment. It names the 8 signs of active awakening with precision, so you stop wondering whether what your body has been doing is real. It contains the chapter on the 3 types of lightworker, anchor, bridge, transmuter, so you stop asking what you are supposed to be doing and start recognizing the function you were built to serve. It is in the first pinned comment. Subscribe to Stellar Command Portal and leave your name and city in the comments below. Here is what I have been sitting with for days before deciding to say it in this transmission. The Syrian Council did not deliver this gently. They named a specific soul profile, not as condemnation, not as a spiritual grade, but as a pattern that repeats across dozens of transmissions with identical characteristics. The souls who will not complete the crossing are not the ones who were cruel or ignorant or spiritually absent. They are the ones who got close, who felt the pull, who stood at the edge of the remembering and chose, in most cases between 2015 and 2020, to turn back toward what was familiar. You know at least one person who fits that description. You may be sitting right now with a name in your mind, a face, someone you watched walk toward this and then pull back. The Syrian Council called it the return to comfort decision. A soul that had genuine contact with the awakening, that had begun to question the architecture of the old world, that had allowed the crack to form, made a specific choice to reduce the discomfort of that questioning, not by answering the questions, by resubmerging, by rebuilding the familiar over the opening that was beginning to form. Most people who made that choice did not experience it as a spiritual decision. They experienced it as exhaustion, as the ordinary human need for relief from the weight of knowing. They went back to the routines, the relationships, the identity structures the questioning had been disturbing. They called it balance. They called it maturity. The system they returned to was glad to have them back and gave them enough short-term relief to make the return feel justified. But here is what the Syrian Council transmitted about the cost of that return. The soul that resubmerges after genuine contact does not return to neutral. They carry the memory of the opening, buried under the comfort they chose. That buried memory produces a specific kind of distress, a low-grade, sourceless unhappiness that no external success can fully quiet. Because what the soul knows about itself will not stay buried, no matter how thick the comfort built on top of it. Many of those souls are in genuine pain right now. They know, even if they will not say it, that something is wrong with the life they rebuilt. That wrongness is the knowing trying to resurface. The Galactic Federation transmitted something about those souls that I want to deliver with every bit of care I have, because I believe some of them are watching this right now. The window is not closed for them yet. The choice is not final. But the energy required to reverse a return to comfort decision increases with each year it is maintained, and the souls who allow the comfort to hold them through the recognition year the year we are inside right now, will arrive at what comes next at a disadvantage the final phase cannot fully compensate for. This transmission exists in part for them. The reversal does not require a dramatic spiritual event. It does not require a crisis, a vision, or any external confirmation. It requires one genuine internal act. The soul looks directly at the specific thing that was buried, names it plainly without self-punishment, and chooses differently. That is the whole of it. The Arcturian Council transmitted that the field responds within 72 hours of a genuine reopening decision. Not 72 days, 72 hours. The window is that responsive to sincere intention. What the crossing actually feels like in the body, the Galactic Federation did not leave this as abstraction, and neither will I. The souls in active crossing process right now are experiencing a specific cluster of sensations that most of them are misreading as symptoms of something wrong. I want to name 4 of them precisely, because the misreading is costing people energy they cannot afford to waste at this point in the window. The first is an intermittent feeling of profound disorientation with no external cause. You are standing in your kitchen, driving a familiar road, sitting in a room you have sat in 100 times, and for a moment, the familiar feels thin, like a set, like something that was always a temporary construction rather than the solid reality it appeared to be. That thinning is not dissociation. That is dimensional perception, beginning to expand beyond the third dimension's parameters. You are briefly seeing what has always been true about the nature of material reality, and the surprise of it produces disorientation. Let it. It is not a malfunction. It is a preview. The second is sharp, inexplicable grief that visits without warning and leaves without satisfying resolution. Not grief for a specific loss. Grief as a full-body weather event, arriving, moving through, departing, without ever identifying its object. The Pleiadian Council named this the transitional grief frequency. It is the cellular processing of everything the soul is releasing from its third-dimensional identity. The roles, the agreements, the self-conceptions, the entire architecture of who you believed yourself to be inside a world that is changing its fundamental operating parameters. Grief is the correct response to genuine loss. Honor it rather than manage it away. The third is energy fluctuation that no amount of rest can regulate. Days of extraordinary clarity and capacity, followed by days where the simplest function requires conscious effort. A man named Thomas from Tennessee wrote to me last month. He said he would wake some mornings feeling 30 years younger than his age, and others barely able to make coffee without sitting down twice. He had seen 3 doctors. None found anything wrong. I want to say to Thomas, and to every person carrying that experience, nothing is malfunctioning. Your field is reorganizing. The reorganization is not linear, and it is not considerate of your schedule. Work with it, rather than against it. The fourth is an increasing intolerance for environments and content that operate at what the old world called normal frequency. Shopping centers, certain media, gatherings where the primary energy is distraction. They now produce a physical response that was either absent or much milder before 2020. You are not becoming antisocial. You are becoming precise. Your field has calibrated enough toward the crossing frequency that the gap between where you are and where certain environments are has become physically noticeable. That precision is not a sensitivity to manage down. It is a navigation system. It is telling you with increasing clarity where your energy belongs and where it does not. Here is what I believe connects all 4 of those sensations. They are not signs that something is breaking. They are signs that something is completing. The third dimension housed you well enough for the duration of the mission it was built to support. That mission is not ending. It is graduating into a frequency the third dimension was never designed to hold. What you are feeling is the body catching up with what the soul already knows is happening, and the soul has known for longer than the mind has been willing to accept. The 3 actions. I named them at the beginning of this transmission, and I am delivering them now, because everything that came before them was the foundation they require to make real sense. Without that foundation, these are spiritual suggestions. With it, they are dimensional mechanics. The difference between those two categories is the difference between optional and necessary. The first is the daily frequency audit. 3 minutes before your day builds any momentum, before the phone, before the news, before any of the demands of the third-dimensional life you are still living inside. One question, asked with genuine intention and waited on for an honest answer. What am I carrying right now that belongs to the old world? Not your circumstances. Not your real responsibilities, the frequency underneath them, the habitual fear, the installed scarcity, the old world story about what you are and what you deserve and what is possible for someone like you. Name it, not to punish yourself for carrying it, to stop carrying it unconsciously as fact. The soul that names what it is running is not controlled by it. The soul that never looks carries it silently as its operating system. The second is what the Pleiadian Council called the active vision of arrival. This is not hope, and the distinction matters. Hope projects a desired outcome from a present that feels separate from it. The active vision of arrival is a specific daily practice in which you inhabit, with full sensory and emotional presence, the reality you are preparing to receive. Not as imagination, as cellular preparation. The nervous system does not distinguish between a vividly inhabited experience and a physical one. The body that has practiced the feeling of safety, of sufficiency, of the particular quality of consciousness the new earth operates at, that body will recognize the crossing frequency when it arrives and move toward it naturally. The body that has never been given permission to feel those things will often repel them even while reaching for them. 5 minutes, any time of day. The practice builds what no amount of understanding alone can build. The third action is the one the Galactic Federation named as the most structurally significant for this specific window. They called it the sovereign contribution. Any act of genuine service, giving something of real value to another person without calculation, without tracking the return, without keeping score, sends a signal to the planetary field that the soul is already operating at new Earth frequency, not preparing to, operating, now. The circulation principle the new architecture runs on does not begin when the system finishes activating. It begins in you today at whatever scale your current life allows. A meal. An hour of honest attention to someone carrying more than they can name. A truth shared without withholding. Every sovereign contribution made inside this crossing window is a frequency transmission the planetary field records. And the field is recording. The new earth is not a reward for the spiritually accomplished. It is the natural destination of the soul that has done the genuine work of releasing what cannot cross. And the souls who will feel most at home there are not the ones who arrived with the cleanest record. They are the ones who kept choosing, through every difficulty, every disorientation, every season of grief and confusion and inexplicable exhaustion, to stay in the opening rather than return to the comfort. That persistence is the crossing. You have been doing it longer than you know. What this transmission gave you today is the name for what you have already been living. If you want a daily structure that holds everything named here, the practices, the calendar, the tools built specifically for the crossing window we are inside, the guide is in the first pinned comment below this video. The 21-day activation calendar inside it gives you a specific practice, a direction, and an anchor for every single morning of the next 3 weeks, so that what opened in you today has somewhere to live tomorrow. Subscribe to Stellar Command Portal so you receive every transmission as this window deepens. Send this to one person whose life has been showing them the signs without giving them a name for it. And leave your name and where you are watching from in the comments. The floor's giving way. You have always known it, now you know what to do.